What's happening, guys? Back at you with another video. So in this video, I'm going to be giving my thoughts and basically my review on what I thought of the Black Adam movie. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about this. So Black Adam came out in theaters, and I gotta say, Rock was over there mentioning a lot. Pretty much his tagline was like the hierarchy of DC Universe is about to change. Uh, he kept saying that, stuff like that over the past years that we've been getting this movie. So, basically, this has been sort of a passion project for Dwayne The Rock Johnson over the past 10, 15 years or so. I kind of first heard about this movie, or at least it was like mentioned or something that we were going to get it somewhere down the line, maybe probably like 2013, 2014. Maybe I heard about it, where Rock was like attached to it and stuff like that. But he was going on to say that he was actually trying to make this movie for the past 15 years. But of course, it was in development for a long time, and then of course he's doing other movies and stuff like that. So he had to find the time and just get out of development and all that stuff to get this movie. So finally got this movie. Um, in theaters, and just going to talk about let's talk about it, and I'll get my thoughts on it and get my review on it, what I think about it overall. One of the first things I want to say is this is definitely a Rock movie. This is definitely a Dwayne the Rock Johnson movie. What I mean by that is that pretty much his persona, his personality, the way he acts in other movies is basically what he is in this movie is basically on display in this movie. That's like the main focus of him playing this character of Black Adam, where and basically he's playing himself in other the way he does in other movies. His persona, his personality, the way he does in other movies is basically the same in this movie. So whether or not you like his movies or like the way he is with his personality and persona and stuff like that, might determine whether you like this movie or not. Like for me, I do like most of his movies that he does, just like the presence and personality and persona that he has on screen and stuff like that. I like it in general. I like most of his movies. So with this movie, it was just just seeing him and stuff like that. It wasn't a whole lot big difference or anything between other movies as far as that. So honestly, I mean, I like the movie. I like the movie for that. What he was able to do with this character and all that. Sort of playing, trying to play the villain a little bit, but he kept on saying in the movie too a lot. He was saying, "I'm not a hero. I'm not a hero," and stuff like that. So he kind of was pushing that anti-hero sort of thing, or trying to get close to the villain, not really necessarily getting to that point of villain status. They basically, I mean, a lot with a lot of movies nowadays. If you try to get a villain that is sort of in the comics, their own movie, they sort of kind of dive into the sort of anti-hero status, more or less anti-hero status. So in this movie it kind of was similar to that. It's not really pushing the boundary of a villain really in this movie, but nonetheless, I thought he did a good job with the role. I thought it was a good job with the role, playing the character of Black Adam and all that. Just basically getting this story, this introduction to this character that we haven't really seen in DC or DC movies, and he's kind of tied in with Shazam too a little bit, so maybe we'll get that down the line. Uh, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes with Shazam and stuff like that, because he's kind of a villain to Shazam, and he ties in with Shazam somewhat too. So we'll see how that goes with that. But yeah, like definitely, the Rock's personality was definitely on full display in this movie. Basically, pretty much same character he plays in other movies and stuff like that. So that can determine whether or not that you like this movie or not, based on if you like his personality, persona, stuff like that. Uh, really, I mean, this movie was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to watch. I like the way they were doing it, the vibe it was like that, and I think definitely if this movie came out like 10 or 15 years ago, it definitely would have set the standard for superhero movies, and would have been a definitely a big spectacle. But with this day and age of superhero and comic book movies, it doesn't really set a standard or anything like that. I'm not saying it's bad or anything like that. It was a lot of fun, and especially for a DC movie, it was fun to watch, and it kind of does kind of does give you a little hope. Maybe it does give you a little hope that maybe DC could get on track with some things like that. Um, I would say like back in the past, I have said that I liked some of the DC movies. I like what Zack Snyder was kind of doing with some of the DC movies. You know, we were getting that sort of darker, edgy tone with some of the movies, which I did like and stuff like that. But of course, it didn't really seem to be working for DC too much, so they're trying to go in a different direction. So hopefully, with this movie, they could kind of try to get on track with some stuff like that. Um, with trying to put some better movies out in DC, better DC movies. I just saying in general. And I know they've been trying to like, be on par with Marvel and stuff like that. And it's like, I just feel like they shouldn't really try to compete with Marvel a whole lot. Just try to set a standard for your movies and just keep going on, keep going forward on from there. Uh, but like I said, this is definitely one movie that I did have fun watching. I did enjoy it watching. Did like watching it, and just hopefully it sets DC on a good track. We've been getting a couple of good movies here and there with sort of with DC and stuff like that. Like Shazam was pretty good, fun watch, like sort of lighthearted. Suicide Squad last year was pretty good too. And we have Black Adam here, which I think was pretty good. It was actually not bad. It was sort of atypical kind of a comic book movie, uh, sort of along the lines of like way Marvel does their movies a little bit. With when it comes to some of the characters, uh, Doctor Fate. Like one of the reasons why I wanted to try to see this movie was Doctor Fate. I definitely wanted to see Doctor Fate on the big screen. I was waiting for that. So whenever we got this character that they announced that the character Doctor Fate was going to be in Black Adam, I was definitely excited and on board to checking this out and see how the character was. I gotta say, I absolutely love Doctor Fate in this movie. Pierce Brosnan brought a compelling role to Doctor Fate in this movie, and he's definitely one of the standouts for this movie. And alongside Hawkman, I'll say Hawkman is definitely a standout for this movie. Also, Aldous Hodge played a great Hawkman, and both of them together, their on-screen presence and just the things they were able to do with their characters, and just the back and forth between them and things like that. Just overall, the them playing the characters and just being on screen and all that was definitely a awesome experience, and they really were the standouts for the movie for me. When it came to the rest of the JSA, like Cyclone and Atom Smasher, they didn't really feel too fleshed out or really brought anything like that. I'll say Atom Smasher maybe had a couple comedic performances. A slight little banter between Hawkman and Atom Smasher that was kind of funny. But other than that, he was kind of like the klutz of the group. So really not really too much of a fleshed out character alongside with Cyclone. Wasn't really too fleshed out. I did like her character, but not really too fleshed out. It was basically the GSA was as far as the GSA characters, Hawkman and Doctor Fate were definitely more of a standouts and more center uh, of the group. I will say that they had some other characters in here. I won't say they're super memorable. We have like a kid who is kind of looking up to who kind of looks up to Black Adam sort of as a hero and all that. And I was noticing a lot of people were saying too that the relationship between Black Adam and the kid in the movie is kind of similar to the way that Terminator 2 was, where John Connor and the Terminator were kind of he was trying to teach him stuff like that. So you kind of get that in this movie where he's trying to teach him sort of how to be a hero, and like the ongoing trope of like him trying to find a catchphrase and stuff throughout the movie and stuff like that, which wasn't too bad. It was a little comedic in there, and trying to find a catchphrase and stuff like that. But other than that, not too many memorable characters. I know we have the female character, I forget her name, that was in there, who kind of releases him, and sort of like spokesperson for the country, whatever, like spokesperson character for the country. And then we have her brother, who was a little funny, here and there, stuff like that. And then we had like a villain of like Inner Gang, who was like trying to control and take over the city. Honestly, kind of forgettable. Not really too much. Just it's basically a typical means to an end to have a villain or have something in there that's like a villain, but honestly, pretty forgettable. It's not really memorable with them. A lot of comedy. I mean, I won't say a lot of comedy. They try to do a lot of comedy with this movie. Couple comedic stuff here and there. Whenever I was watching it in theaters with the group of people and everybody in theaters and stuff like that, there's a few um people scattered here and there that I would like laugh out loud, bust out laughing at some of the comedic moments. And to me, it wasn't super comedic. Like I was like thinking like it's not that funny. Honestly, it's more ha ha chuckle type of comedy. It wasn't really bust out laughing type of comedy. So I was like, and you're like ha ha chuckle funny cool kind of comedy here and there with some of the jokes and stuff like that. Which I mean, it wasn't bad or anything like that. It was just like jokes here and there and stuff and comedic moments and stuff like that. That was basically haha moments, chuckle type moments, not really bust out laughing type of moments for me. But like I was saying, I had a lot of fun watching this movie, and when it came to story was honestly, I mean, it's a basic story. You're trying to introduce this character of Black Adam, just get his foot in the door, introducing his character, so you can have him for future movies. And so as a basic storyline, you can't really. I guess I mean, I don't know. You could complain about it if you want, but like honestly, it's just his first movie. It's an introduction to the character, basic storyline going on and stuff like that. And it's like you get this character. It's just introducing this character so we have him for future movies and all that. So I thought it was kind of funny. One little side note, I thought it was kind of funny. We get an origin story uh, in here, whereas conduct and it shows him in slavery and stuff thousands of years ago. And I thought it was funny they did like a they showed him when he wasn't like he's not like big or superhero or type whatever stuff like that. So they put the Rock's head on this small body, and it just looks so ridiculous and funny. I was like, what the hell is that? It looks so weird and out of place, honestly, because the Rock has just like a big head and stuff like that. So they literally just they could have like shrunk his head or something or whatever. And so they literally got the Rock's head and put it on a smaller body, not really like more of a leaner body, so the Rock having a big head and stuff like that, it just looked kind of funny and ridiculous, and it just looked weird, honestly, seeing that. But nonetheless, getting back to what I was saying, the villain, they had the villain of Sabak, which I admit I did not know a whole lot about before this movie. Um, so they had the character Sabak, who comes in during the third act. Honestly, it was a generic, typical villain, that you usually get. It was like I was saying, it's a means to an end kind of villain to where you need a third act. So this villain comes in where the villain is just generic and your typical type of villain that you have to fight during a third act. Probably not going to be super memorable going into the future. You had the battle that he battled some of the JSA for a little bit, and then Black Adam finally comes in and kind of beats him. I'm not gonna say easily, but kind of beats him kind of quickly, honestly. So like it was a generic, typical type of third act villain that just a means to an end kind of villain. So not super. I don't think it'll be super memorable in the future, going forward and all that. So yeah, just your typical generic villain, like I said. But other than that, it's not really. I don't really have too many complaints about this movie. Like I said, it was a lot of fun to watch, and this kind of sets DC on a good track for getting some better movies and all that. Definitely need to. This movie was good, but it definitely needs improvement going forward for DC movies and all that. So if this movie helps get DC on track to doing better movies and sort of this kind of vibe of movie, then I'm all for it. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what DC could do, especially now with the new heads of DC with James Gunn and Peter Safran, who are basically going to act as the Kevin Feige's of the DC universe now, DC universe movies and stuff like that. Definitely looking forward to seeing what they could be able to do and bring to the DC universe for the movies and all that. And if this movie is a stepping stone to getting on track with good DC movies, then I'm all here for it. Like I was saying, Black Adam is a fun watch. I didn't really expect too much. The trailers didn't really get me super excited for this movie or anything like that. They were, the trailers were basic. They were good trailers. Just sort of giving the vibe of the movie and stuff like that. But it didn't really get me excited or anything like that. Like I was saying, one of the huge reasons why I wanted to see this movie was because of Doctor Fate. Like I've been waiting to see a Doctor Fate on the big screen, so that was one of the huge reasons why I wanted to see this movie and check it out. And yeah, so like the trailers didn't really get me super excited. Like I was like, I'm gonna check it out anyway because it's a DC movie. I'm gonna check it out anyway in general. But like I was saying, the trailers didn't really get me super excited or anything like that. But I went into this movie not super high expectations for it, and honestly, just had a fun time watching. That's all it was. Basically, was a fun watch. Not really thinking about it too much. You kind of turn off your brain, just have fun watching it. Had a lot of good action scenes. There's a lot of good action scenes going on with here, and he had some slow motion kind of going on too and stuff like that, just to show how fast he actually is and all that. So a lot of good action sequences here and there, and some slow motion and stuff like that. Kind of like the banter, or the rivalry that they had with Black Adam and Hawkman. I thought that was some awesome parts that it has in there. Just them having that rivalry and going back and forth and all that, was a good part of the movie. So I like seeing that. And like I was saying, the standouts was Hawkman and Doctor Fate for me. Just their presence on screen and just their back and forth also was honestly pretty good for the movie. I like that they had. But yeah, like I was saying, it's a fun watch. Really, not too much high expectations for it. That going into this movie, I didn't really have high expectations for it. So basically, just turned my brain off, watched it, had fun watching it for the most part, and just like I said, if it gets DC on track for better movies, is if this is a stepping stone to that, then it did its part. I think it did its part with just doing that, and looking forward to seeing what the this new Black Adam character brings. One thing I would say is that they had the after credits scene, which I wish they didn't spoil it. Rock himself kind of did spoil it, and I was like, why are you going to spoil it? All you got to do is just say there's an after credits scene. Just say that. You don't have to spoil stuff like that. Had to spoil the whole scene. So it's like, wish it was left as a surprise, but unfortunately it wasn't, and it was like, wish you left as a surprise and stuff like that. So I mean, we were all expecting it, the scene, because it was spoiled and stuff like that. So it wasn't really um, super. Like, it was cool seeing him on screen. Y'all know the character I'm talking about that showed up. It was cool seeing him come back and be on screen and stuff like that. But it was like, I wish it was left as a surprise. It would have been so much more impactful if it was left as a surprise, and I think it would have gotten a way better reaction to it overall from people if it wasn't spoiled and left as a surprise instead. But nonetheless, I was like, I saw it and it was like, well, it's been spoiled already. I already had the hype of it and stuff like that already. Beforehand, it was like, so watching it, it was like not super impactful and stuff like that. I mean, it was cool seeing him on screen, but like, it wasn't super impactful if it was a spoiled and left as a surprise instead. I think it would have got a better reaction at people and be more impactful and just would have gone crazy. Like I probably would have gone crazy and get hype if it was a spoiled and it was left as a surprise. Honestly, like I would have probably been more hype and more excited for the future of it. But I mean, like I'm excited for the future of the character coming back. And the actor coming back to play the character and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they're able to do with the character. Hopefully, they get some. We get some movies. They already said that there's a movie in development with this character, so we'll see how it goes with that. And so I'm excited to see what he brings. I mean, I know what he brings, but I'm saying I'm excited to see what they do with his character and with his movies and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, this is a fun watch and all that. Black Adam, introducing Black Adam, the character of Black Adam. I mean, for the most part, I think they did their job. At least introducing the character and setting up stuff for future movies and stuff like that. They for the most part they did their job. I think. Like I said, fun watch. Check it out if you want to. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the future holds too for his character. But definitely let me know down in the comments below if you've seen this movie already. What were your thoughts on this movie? But that's going to do it for this video. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Remember, if you want to be a part of Team Legendary, all you got to do is subscribe and turn notifications on so you know I post another video. Hope you all have an awesome day. And remember, be legendary.